Hello, today is April 21st, 2022. My name is Samantha Gomez. I'm interviewing Jennifer Salazar for the University Library Special Collections and Archives at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley, hereafter abbreviated as UTRGV. This project is in partnership with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Please know, Ms. Jennifer, that this interview will be placed in the University Library, Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV, and shared with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. If there is anything you do not wish to answer or talk about, I will honor your wishes. Also, if there is something you want to talk about, please bring it up and we'll talk about it. The University Library Special Collections and Archives will archive your interview along with any other photographs and other documentation you are willing to share. UTRGV University Library will retain copyright or non-exclusive right to the interview and any other materials you donate to Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV. Because we are not conducting this interview in person, I need to record you consenting to make sure you agree with our interview procedures before we continue. So I'll ask you a series of 6 questions. Please say, yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree after each question. Do you give University Library Special Collections and Archives at UTRGV consent to archive your interview and your materials at UTRGV University Library?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives the right, title, and interest in copyright over the interview and any materials you provide?
Yes, I agree.
Do you agree to allow UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives to post this interview on the internet where it may be viewed by people around the world?
Yes, I agree.
Do you grant the University Library Special Collections and Archives consent to share your Zoom interview with the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin for inclusion in the Voices of a Pandemic Oral History mini project, which will include posting the interview on the internet?
Yes, I agree.
As you recall, we previously filled out a pre-interview form. We use information from the pre-interview form to help in research. The entire form is kept in a secure Voces server at the University of Texas at Austin. Before Voces sends it to UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives, we would have stripped out any contact information for yourself or family members, so that will not be part of your public file. Your public file will only be accessible at UTRGV University Library. The final 2 questions ask for your consent on what I just described. Do you wish for us to share the rest of your interview in your public file available to researchers at UTRGV University Library Special Collections and Archives?
Yes, I agree.
On occasion, UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and Voces receive requests from journalists who wish to contact our interview subjects. We only deal with legitimate news outlets. Do you give consent for us to share your phone numbers or your email with journalists?
Yes, I agree.
Thank you for your consent. Your experience and stories mean a lot to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives. I look forward to what you say in your interview questions I will now ask. Okay. Give me a minute. Hold on. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you for your time. Like I said earlier, your stories and experiences are valuable to us at UTRGV Special Collections and Archives and to our partners at the Voces Oral History Center at the University of Texas at Austin. Because you are an essential worker, daughter, aunt to 3 boys, sister, I know you have many meaningful stories and experiences to share on how COVID-19 has impacted these roles you carry out in your life. So before we talk about COVID-19 stories, can you please share with us a bit about yourself? Who are you and how you wish to be known? Who is Jennifer Salazar?
I'm Jennifer Salazar, 24, and I work at a 24 emergency room as an emergency room tech. Is that what I'm supposed to say, so?
Yeah, you're good. You're just explaining who you are.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. The first section of questions asks you to please share your stories and memories from when the COVID-19 pandemic made its first impacts in December 2019 to about the summer of 2020. So the first question I want to ask you is, can you share some memorable stories about how you first heard or learned about COVID-19? Was it on the radio, TV, social media, or etc.?
I would have to say from the news and social media when cases started around December 2019. And then Texas didn't get a case until February of 2020.
Okay. What were some early reports or rumors about COVID-19 that you remember back in 2020?
Like cases were rising really quick.
Okay. Well, at what point did you realize this pandemic was a serious life-altering event, or do you not think it's serious, and why?
I think it's pretty serious because I mean it caused multiple deaths and cases just kept rising. There was literally no decrease in a while.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was like for you during the stay-at-home orders in 2020? Do you have any stories from this time you could tell?
I never really did stay at home since I was an essential worker. And if somebody would call in or if they got sick or if we were understaffed due to the amount like of patients coming, I would basically spend most of my time at work.
Okay. Over the last couple of years, what news media, social media, or other sources do you rely on to keep you informed about COVID-19? Why do you prefer these news sources?
If I wanted to get the numbers of cases in our area, I would check with the county. Every other day, we would have to send like listings of our positive cases to them. So I felt like they had more of an accurate number of cases in our area.
Okay. Can you share with me what you understand about COVID-19 as an infectious disease and how you feel it's impacted society? Likewise, can you share with me what you don't understand about COVID and wish you could know more about?
It was also new to us. Not many knew what to do. The virus doesn't care how you look or how old you are, what color you are, or even how healthy or unhealthy you are. It literally hits anybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you feel your family has the same beliefs as you about COVID-19, or are there some members who take it more seriously or more lightly?
I would say we all have the same view on it. We started taking precautions because we knew how serious and life-threatening the virus is.
Yeah. Alrighty. This next part asks you to share any stories about COVID-19 vaccines and any vaccination-related stories you may wish to tell me. Did you get a vaccine and any follow-up booster shots? If yes, which ones? Do you have them all, or was it just like the vaccine?
I have both of the Modernas, the first two. I have not gotten my booster because I did get COVID in January. So I'm supposed to wait a few months to get the booster, but I am going to get the booster.
Okay. What was it like? Like, was it easy or difficult for you in terms of scheduling, or was there a long wait time to get the shot?
It was actually really easy. My work sent me. They asked me that morning if I would like to get, well, actually, they asked me a few days in advance if I would like to get tested, or not tested, sorry. If I would like to get the vaccine. I was thinking about it and I really thought about it for a while and I decided to get it because I am in the middle of it all. I swab the patients and stuff like that. So I figured it would help me. It did help me when I got the virus. But yeah, yes.
Is that where you got both of them? Like, you got both your shots done there at your job?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not at my job. Sorry. At Valley Baptist in Brownsville.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Were you hesitant about getting them?
I was because it's new.
Okay.
But I asked around like to my coworkers with like the nurses and some of the doctors, asked for their opinions. And we gave each other our thoughts, and I really thought about it, and I decided to get it, and I don't regret it.
Okay. Okay. These next set of questions are going to ask about how COVID-19 has impacted your life in the way of your career and your family. Jennifer, during your pre-interview, we talked about your family. Can you share with me how COVID has impacted the way you and your family interact with each other?
We're more careful with it, and how we got home from work, we kept sanitizing and cleaning and making sure we washed our hands. We each had our own Lysol can so we can make sure we disinfected our area. Like if we did feel a certain like cough or any little thing, just to be safe. So
Okay.
we were extra careful.
Yeah. Okay. Has COVID impacted the way you all celebrate special occasions? If so, which holidays or celebrations did COVID particularly impact in your experience? And can you please share with us some stories and these impacts on certain holidays or other celebrations like birthdays?
Yes, we didn't celebrate the way we usually did. My brothers and I all work in the ER, so it's kind of hard for us to go around family that we don't know if we're at risk or not to expose them. So we would just stay home, and our type of celebrating at that moment, we would either send them a gift, or later on, if we knew we were clear, we would take them food or have like another mini celebration. But we wouldn't have like our big celebrations that we used to have.
Yeah. Okay. You shared with me that you would sometimes take your nephews for the day to spend time with them. Were you helping out your siblings by offering to care for your nephews?
Yes, I would like to take them for a few hours just to let my sister-in-law or brother go out and get the stuff that they need without having to like think about where the kid's gonna touch, or if somebody else has touched that, or if you know the way kids are, they like to just grab and run away and pick up any toy or anything.
Yeah. Would you like to share stories about how your family stepped up and helped each other in ways that may not have happened if there was never a COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, my grandma unfortunately lost her life in COVID at the beginning of June or July, excuse me, sorry. And my aunt was in Corpus at the time, my dad's sister, and she wanted to move back to Redondo to be closer to my dad. So they didn't have a home and much money at the time because they lost their jobs with COVID. So they moved into our home, and she brought her family of 4, and we made it work.
That's cool. Since you are an essential worker who works as an ER tech, can you share some stories on what point during this pandemic you may have started taking extra precautions around your family when returning home from work?
When I started getting a lot more positive cases at work, like when I would probably see more positive cases than I would see negative cases. It was actually rare that I would see negative cases. It got bad to that point. So I kind of just didn't want to go home at some points, but I would leave my work shoes in the car. Sometimes I would take my extra set of clothes and put my sports in the bag and go straight to the washer, throw them in there, take my time in my shower, make sure I get really clean just so I don't bring anything home to them.
Hard time. You also shared with me that you and your family have been exposed to COVID. Can you share with me your experience when you contracted the virus?
I was very short of breath. I had bad headaches. I had really ugly fevers, but I wouldn't say it affected me as bad as it did my other family members that were positive at the same time.
Do you know what they maybe have experienced with the virus, like if they had different symptoms?
I did have to take one of my family members to the ER because she was feeling really dehydrated. She couldn't keep much down. She was really bad. She looked really pale. She looked like a ghost.
Okay. This next set of questions will ask how COVID-19 has impacted your work life and what challenges you may face. Jennifer, you've been working as an ER tech since before the pandemic occurred, correct?
Yes.
Can you recall some memories about how work was like for you before COVID-19? What was a standard work day like as an ER tech before COVID?
We would see a lot of basic emergency room patients like abdominal painers, chest pains, falls, abscess, our routine, you know? So we knew exactly what to do when a patient would come in and tell us what was wrong with them. Like we knew exactly the workup or the medicine the nurse needed to give them. And it's nothing like it is now.
Yeah. How has COVID impacted your work? Like, for example, when were the impacts first experienced and how has it impacted the way you work?
Late February is when it really started overflowing with COVID swabs. Ever since then, it was just a constant thing. Every work day, work night, our parking lots were full. Day and night, it was just out of control.
Can you explain what precautions were implemented at work because of COVID?
We had to double up on our PPE. We had to constantly wash our hands. Every room we would step into, we would wash our hands. When we would come out, we would wash our hands. Now we were sanitizing. We had like so many bottles of Lysol, so many wipes that we used to clean the beds everywhere. It was just more of like we had a lot of extra cleaning precautions. We would just make sure we would clean double, sometimes triple.
Yeah. I understand as an essential worker and ER tech, you work directly with patients that may have the virus. What safety measures do you have to follow when going to swab someone for the virus?
I always had my N95, and if I didn't, I had my respiratory mask on. I had my gloves, my hair up, covered with a gown. I stood on the side of them just in case they had a cough, it wasn't straightly in my direction.
Okay. Have you had to take on any extra work because of COVID? For example, did you have to take on overtime hours or extra duties at
Yes, many times.
work? Okay. Are you concerned about the effectiveness and the mandates for an ER and their ability to keep you protected?
No, I think they're doing really good.
Okay. This last section asks you to share any stories you have about this pandemic and the response by local, state, and national elected officials. Feel free to respond or pass any of the questions. Do you feel satisfied with the local response to COVID-19 in Brownsville, Rancho Viejo, and Cameron County over the last 2 years?
Yes, I do.
Are you satisfied with the local response to COVID-19 led by Governor Abbott over these last couple of years?
Yes.
How do you feel about the national response to COVID-19 led by President Trump in the year 2020 and then President Biden from 2021 to present?
I wish not to speak about that.
Okay. If you had the power of a political office to respond to COVID-19, what would you do differently?
Nothing.
Okay. This is a special year in our national democracy because it's midterm election voting year. Do you plan to vote? And if so, is the issue of COVID-19 going to factor into your votes?
I wish not to talk about that.
Okay. Will you consider the national response to COVID-19 pandemic in your vote for a presidential candidate?
Wish not to talk about that.
Okay. Is there anything in the way of support or assistance that you needed in the first year of this pandemic or currently need during this COVID-19 pandemic that you would like to talk about?
No.
Okay. What impact or purpose do you hope your story may have on listeners of the Voices of a Pandemic digital archives?
Just to know that COVID isn't a joke and it really is a life-threatening disease.
Is there
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Is there anything else you would like to share with me about your experiences with COVID-19 that I have not asked about?
No.
Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your stories with me, the Voices of a Pandemic Oral History Project.
You're welcome, Samantha. There you go.